Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, interestingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Wednesday, April 8th, 2026, and this is live show 1307. If you're not overly familiar with this show, let me point out it's super casual, just hanging around talking about the latest in tabletop role-playing game news, and then I will normally pontificate about a topic related to our hobby. Now, tonight, I am going to discuss 5 brand new role-playing games which are arriving this summer that I am very intrigued by, very interested in, and I think you might want to keep your eyes on. And of course, because this is a live show, we'll have some discussion. Hopefully, you're going to share your thoughts about what you're looking forward to arriving later on this year as well. So that's what we've got on tap tonight. Yes. So, of course, like I said, it's very casual, certainly not engaged in rocket surgery or anything along those lines here at the Dispatch. But should also point out, when you're not watching videos here on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are never going to find here on YouTube. Come on, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Then, of course, because it's a live show, and I've already mentioned it, we have chat available. Now, you have to be a subscriber to the channel for at least an hour before you can take part. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you check off that box and you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, by all means, fire away. I will do my absolute best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Semper Buffo. Pete Strakulich is with us, as is Jen Kokoza. For some reason, that's kind of ringing a bell. Might be a return visit for them. Zarquan is here, as is Keithulu, Michael Berry, and DB. DB says their geek is on. Okay, well, family show. Let's try to keep family show. Sure, with me dropping F-bombs. Yeah, it's a family show, all right. London's Cave is also chiming on in, and I would not be surprised if the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D is lurking the shadows as one of our chat moderators. She of the glittery banhammer. Yes. So welcome aboard, everybody. Let's jump on into the news, because to kick off, Hastening Doom is up for crowdfunding over on BackerKit, and I've got the latest from Kobold Press. Hey, wait a second. Why did that pop up? That's gone. Hang on. We no longer have a sponsor. What the heck? Give me a moment. That's weird. That didn't pop up last night. Like, okay, so what's going on? What's going on here? All right, so let me move this out of the way, and then we will get right on into the news. Yes, ta-da! There we go, Hastening Doom. So what is Hastening Doom? It's a good old-fashioned dungeon crawl for 5e D&D and Tales of the Valiant, with plenty of monsters to kill, puzzles to solve, and traps to outwit. Designers outdoing each other. Kobold Press asked some of its strongest and most experienced dungeon designers to cut loose, and each of them designed several sections of the Hastening Doom Mega Dungeon. This 5th edition D&D adventure includes 6 sprawling levels and covers gameplay from 1st to 12th level. Expect weird monsters, traps, puzzles, unexpected death, and a trip to hell. Bring a spare torch and a spare character. This backer kit project, at least when I happened to throw this together earlier today, at that point in time was 350% funded. You can reserve a copy of the 64-page softcover adventure with PDF for a $25 pledge. If you want to just score the PDF alone, you can do so for a $14 pledge through May 1st. Now, I do believe the PDF is expected to be available shortly after the project ends. I do not have an expected fulfillment on the softcover, though. Probably later this year, if I know Kobold Press. Now, this is part of the Mega Dungeon Month that is taking place over on BackerKit, and I will have another crowdfunding project in just a few moments, which is also part of that Mega Dungeon Month. So very nice. Sweet. Brand new Mega Dungeon from Kobold Press. Kobold Press has a few things kind of bubbling in the pipeline right now. They've got a new pre-order, which is out there, which I will talk about on tomorrow's show. How about that? Tessie Trekkie has joined us in chat. Welcome aboard. On to our next news piece. Next week is going to bring the latest supplement for Call of Cthulhu from Chaosium Inc. Here's what I know about Campfire Tales. Scouting adventures against the mythos. In Campfire Tales, players take on the roles of scout investigators as they come face to face with dangers from beyond this world. When the scout investigators reach adulthood, they're ready to take on Call of Cthulhu campaigns as fully fledged investigators. In this book, you'll learn about creating younger investigators. Read the English in front of you, Jeff. That's how this works. You'll have exposure to new skills and rules, including scout ability badges and the adversity mechanic, a new setting close to Arkham, the town of West Haven, as well as 4 scenarios playable as one-shots or together as the full West Haven campaign. There's Tremors Below. When a hiking trip goes awry, the scouts discover worse things than being alone in the woods at night. Box of Evil. A strange delivery arouses the scouts' curiosity. All is not well, and people are hiding dark secrets. There's Treasure the Secret Way. A treasure map leads to a quest for lost gold, but the dead won't share their treasure. As well as Shadow over West Haven. A weekend in the woods uncovers a dark conspiracy with tentacles reaching to the heart of West Haven. Campfire Tales is designed for use with either the Call of Cthulhu starter set or the Call of Cthulhu Keeper rulebook. This book does deal with mature themes, even though it's talking about scouts and scouting. So it is intended for mature players. The 180-page hardcover with PDF is going to carry an MSRP of $42.99 when it lands in stores on April 15th. Now, the PDF is not out yet. I'm guessing we're going to see it fairly soon. Maybe just on launch day. I don't know. I will take a guess. It will be $21.99 over on Drive-Thru RPG. And I will point out, both this and Dust and Blood for Cthulhu by Gaslight are in transit to me right this moment. And tonight's giveaway is this PDF. That's right. Call of Cthulhu Campfire Tales is tonight's giveaway. Get ready. Prepare yourself for a trivia question coming up after the news. But I do have a caveat. I cannot give the winner the PDF until this goes on sale. It's one thing for a reviewer to have a copy of the PDF prior to release. It's something else completely to have a member of the public, a gamer, what would I say? Like a civilian, right? That would be so stupid. Yeah, civilians can't have it. Only reviewers can have it right now because we're special people. Yeah, okay, whatever. Anyway, I just don't feel comfortable awarding this when it's not on sale yet. So I am going to give it away because I'm sharing the news piece tonight. So if you are the winner, all you got to do is a week from tonight, or a week from today, just shoot me a quick email as a reminder and I will get that out. DB says, a normie, a square John, a null. The hell do they call him in Harry Potter? Because I never read the Harry Potter books, and I think I've seen like 1.5 of the movies. Aren't they like muggles? Isn't that what they call people without magical powers? Muggles. Oh, Kevin R. Smith, going dark. Next to what their scoutmasters do to them, Cthulhu mythos is nothing to these scouts. Yes. I did see that documentary. I think it was on Netflix, if I remember correctly. Oh, man, I tell you. Yeah. Cthulhu said they had the first ever video on MTV. Was that the name of the band that did Video Killed the Radio Star? Well, we shall see. Moving right along, Bundle of Holdings rolled out a new money-saving offer featuring the Runecairn role-playing game from By Odin's Beard. I got the deets on the deal. Adventurer. This all-new Runecairn bundle presents, well, you want to take a wild stab in the dark? You want to guess? Come on, one guess. One guess, just one. Runecairn, the one-on-one tabletop fantasy role-playing game of Souls-like Viking fantasy from By Odin's Beard, along with the Weird West RPG We Deal in Lead. Based on Yokai Gal's free Cairn rules, Runecairn and We Deal in Lead let a warden, game master, and one adventurer explore fallen and crumbling worlds filled with threats, mysteries, and unspeakable horrors. With bearded axe or devastating magic, you'll face overwhelming enemies. You'll die repeatedly, but death is not the end. And after each setback, you'll know what to expect for your next try. Using a streamlined classless system in the spirit of the old school revival. What? Classless is not OSR. I know what they're trying to say, but it leads you to believe that, oh, well, classless role-playing like you'd find in OSR games. It's like, no. Regardless, Runecairn really leans into its inspiration, the Dark Souls video games. Your hero dies and gets reborn at a bonfire. Monsters respawn. Other realms may invade, and where Runecairn takes inspiration from vivid and brutal Norse mythology, We Deal in Lead conjures, for either a single player or actually an entire party of gunslingers, the vibe of Stephen King's Dark Tower novels, Sergio Leone's spaghetti westerns, and Joe Lansdale's gonzo yarns. Defend villages or caravans against bandits, hunt monstrous machines, broker peace between warring factions, and stumble across lost slip doors to other worlds. Pick up your scattergun and stride into the wastelands. This all-new Runecairn bundle gives you the complete Runecairn line of one-on-one post-Ragnarok Norse fantasy saga making in the 9 realms, along with the We Deal in Lead game of the last gunslingers in the Drifted World. For just $9.95, you'll get all 5 titles in this collection, which has a retail value of $52 as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete Runecairn Warden Saga core rulebook, the Monster Supplement, the Runecairn Bestiary, the Into the Nine Realms collection of one-page dungeons, and the Weird West gunslinging adventure game We Deal in Lead. Publisher by Odin's Beard has also included the Quick Start primer for their new game of serial killer investigation, Midnight of the Century. These savings will run through April 27th. So Keith Lewis said they were being goofy. Kevin R. Smith said it was the Buggles, not the Muggles. I was going to say, I remember what the song is. I didn't remember what the band was. Because if I remember correctly, I think they were kind of a one-hit wonder. No, there you go. Mr. Budness is joining us in chat, as has J.D. Sewell and Kathy Evans. Looks like we got a nice chat rocking and rolling. And yes, Sarah D is hanging with the gang tonight. There you go. There you have it. Mr. Budness says in the UK they're called muggles. In the US there's something dumb like no mages or something. Just ridiculous. Yeah, stupid Americans. Fuck those guys. As I continue broadcasting from Sweden this week. No. All right, so I already pointed out we had one crowdfunding project for Mega Dungeon Month. Well, there's another, and I've got the scoop on Jewel in the Sky from Monte Cook Games. Soar into the skies. For Kuro, the jewel in the sky, an 8-mile-long island floating 1,000 feet above the distant mountains. It's famed for the magnificent Crystal Cathedral and riddled with Inve Mine's source of the precious, gravity-defying mineral that powers airships and so many more mystic applications. It's long been coveted by the powerful and the magical, who over the centuries have built untold catacombs, fortifications, and dungeons on and in this famed floating isle. Vakuro is also home, unknown to all, to the hidden base of the visitors. Well, now we've spoiled it. Everybody knows now. These strangers from the stars have for years visited Vakuro in secret, posing as natives when it serves their purposes. And they're equally interested in the strange properties offered only by the mysterious mineral Inve. Now the visitors have lost contact with their secret base, and over the centuries, magic has corrupted technology, and technology has corrupted magic. By anyone's standards, natives and off-worlders alike, Vakuro has become a very strange and very dangerous destination. What happens when magic and technology don't just merge, they collide and corrupt each other? And along the way attract demons from another plane? A shadowy cult with a mysterious agenda? A cabal of powerful figures making Vakuro the nexus of their schemes and plans? And more? Delve into Vakuro's daunting maze in this massive dungeon adventure. Explore its dank and ancient passages and discover mysteries, riches, and dangers, as well as loads of surprises. Jewel in the Sky is built for the fun, flexible, easy-to-run Cypher RPG and fits easily into your fantasy world or in any space opera science fiction setting. Because you can. There is a backer kit video, so let's give it a peek.
Vakuro hangs 1,000 feet above the distant mountains. Home to the famous Inve mines, this floating island has been coveted by powerful forces, natural and otherwise, for ages. And, secretly, harbored a base for the mysterious visitors from the stars. What will you discover as you explore Vokuro's catacombs and dungeons? What secrets, dangers, and surprises await? Find out in Jewel in the Sky, a new mega dungeon with a twist from famed designer Monte Cook.
This Backer Kid project is over 200% funded. You can reserve a copy of the standard edition of the book for a $54 pledge that will include the PDF. Or if you just want the PDF itself, you can do that for a $19 pledge through May 1st. Expected fulfillment is summer of 2027, so a ways off. A little bit of a ways off. Jewel in the sky keeps on turning. Don't know where I'll be tomorrow. Oh, wait, no. Hang on. It's not Jewel. Duh. Yes, of course I knew that. All righty. So, very nice. And I may be interviewing Monte Cook himself about Jewel in the Sky and the new edition of Cypher sometime next week. We're trying to set something up, so we shall see. Mark Hawkswell is with us in chat. Welcome. Kevin R. Smith is pointing out that even though the Buggles were a one-hit wonder, the singer Trevor Horn became a huge producer from the 80s to today, and the keyboard player founded Asia, which was a 3-hit wonder band. Yeah. Shazama85 is popping on in, said, good song. Didn't know this was a karaoke stream. No, karaoke actually has background music. I just was, caterwauling. It's a caterwauling stream. Yes. All right, final news piece. Now available in PDF comes Alone Against the Zone. And here's the skinny from Ganesha Games. Mutations haunt the crumbling ruins. Unnatural anomalies bend reality. Storms mercilessly erase the careless. You carry little. A weapon, a faded map, a stubborn will to survive. You must walk. You must listen. You will hopefully endure. Alone Against the Zone is a solo survival game focused on exploration, hard choices, and survival at any cost. You play as a lone operative venturing into a shattered exclusion zone. Combat is fast and unforgiving. Resources are scarce. Death is everywhere. To play, you need only this book, paper and pencil, and a couple of standard 6-sided dice. The 156-page PDF is available right now over at DriveThruRPG for $10. I've got to say, this looks pretty cool. I mean, the line artwork and everything. Now, I know Ganesha Games is the company behind For Against Darkness. I will have to take a stab in the dark that this uses the same mechanics, but I didn't realize that their line art was this good. I was like, whoa, nice. That's $10. I'd be interested in checking that out. If I remember correctly, I think Sammy reviewed the core book years ago for Against Darkness. I know I personally haven't, because I haven't had any experience with any of the Ganesha Games releases. And I do believe there is a ton that's out there for Against Darkness. Maybe we'll see more stuff for Alone Against the Zone. Cooperative Waffles has joined us, as has Clantos. So we got quite a few people hanging out with us in chat this evening. All righty. So that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I just mentioned Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to visit Drive-Thru RPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of those One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. And all those commissions really do add up. Help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like the video, give it a quick thumbs up. Do the little thumbs up or heart or whatever in chat if you're hanging out with chats. Yeah, we gotta take that algorithm and shake it. Actually, we need to slap it around is what we need to do. Yeah. So, just pointing that out. Anyway, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you like what we do, you can also support the outlet in a couple of other ways. By making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. That was lovely. And you can also become a monthly member of our Patreon. You will find links in the show notes. Also in those show notes, you're going to find an invite link to our Discord server. Absolutely free to sign up. Be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. Of course, during every live stream, I like to give a shout out to our Patreon members. So a big tip of the cap to Cabal, Kevin R. Smith, Talzak, Sean O'Donnell, Herman Lutman, Gustavo Cavallo, Kevin King, Game Cat, RPG Munch, Tier 2 DM, Peace Draculich, Dan Webb, Tessie Trekkie, Agile Monk, The Madman, and our first $50 Patreon member, Flint Fireforge. Yes. Thank you very kindly, everybody. It is much appreciated. So some discussion of some music, talking about Yes. I was never a big Yes fan. I mean, I didn't hate it, but Yes was all right. Tessie Trekkie says, Jeff, you're effectively drinking flavored, artificially sweetened carbonated water. Yeah, that's what diet soda is. Let's make sure that we do keep in mind artificially sweetened. Let's not forget that. And colored. Those are natural colors in this thing. Come on. Not at all. Not at all. So tonight's topic, I am going to discuss 5 brand new tabletop role-playing games, which are arriving this summer, or at least they're supposed to arrive this summer, that I am very interested in. I'm very curious about. Now, a couple of them are new additions. Or no, actually 3 of them are new editions of role-playing games. But yeah, I'm kind of curious. Hopefully we're going to see maybe Gen Con releases with these. So I would also like folks in chat to share, games that they're looking forward to as well. So we'll get a bit of a discussion going. Yes. Kevin R. Smith says they're with me about Yes. But their late uncle was a huge fan. Well, that's cool. Nice. I don't knock people for, their musical tastes. Everybody's got their own tastes and stuff. So they're like, you listen to that? What are you, crazy? Nope. Not worth getting worked over or worked up about, I guess I should say. Yes. So if you tune in a little bit late, it was a second news story, was about Call of Cthulhu Campfire Tales from Chaosium Inc. And that is tonight's giveaway. So do have to throw the caveat out there again. If you win, you got to wait a week from today to receive it because it's not out yet. It's not in stores yet. I've got the PDF. The physical book, as well as the Cthulhu by Gaslight, Dust and Blood, are in transit to me as well to review. I don't feel comfortable giving away a PDF of something that's not on sale yet. So that is a little caveat I got to float out there if you win. So, of course, once again, it's going to be a trivia question. First person with the correct answer is going to be the winner. And the complete answer has to be on just a single line. You can't put like, okay, here's this, and then this. Yeah, it's got to be, you got to type it out all at once. So, where was the first official Boy Scouts of America camp located and in what year? Whoever gets me that answer first in chat, it's winner, winner, chicken dinner. They're going to get a copy of Campfire Tales for Call of Cthulhu in PDF. Carol Liddell is with us. Welcome. Said they're actually looking forward to Call of Cthulhu Campfire. Nice. I am too. I'm kind of curious. And it's funny because it's like, oh yeah, play as kids. And then it's like for mature audiences. It's like, okay. I didn't think it was I didn't think it was like Call of Cthulhu Jr. And of course, I'm sure you'll have people who are complaining about. So Zark One is posted something, but it's not the answer that I've got. Tessie Trekkie has the answer I've got. Yes. Silver Bay. I forget what the lake was off the top of my head. So yeah, Silver Bay, New York, 1910 is what I got. Then again, of course, I want to say I think I got my information from Wikipedia, which is fairly reliable, right? So there you go. JD Sewell says, like it, Welcome to Derry is a kid's show because it features kids. And JD Mann is with us once again tonight, too. Sweet. One thing I do want to mention before we keep moving along, somebody had emailed me telling me that the DM layer, I guess, is calling it a day as far as their YouTube channel. Well, I guess maybe they're not. I think they're still doing shorts. I actually watched the video. Most of the video because it was only like 3 or 4 minutes long. So, but somebody had emailed me and they said that, oh, well, yeah, you should check out this video because the DM layer kind of was at odds with things I was saying on last night's show about YouTube. And I don't know what video this person watched, but I didn't see anything that conflicted with what I was saying. But the DM layer, who has like 175,000 subs, and they've got recent videos that are in like the hundreds of views. So we're talking massive fallout in viewership. They had pointed out that they weren't blaming the algorithm or YouTube or anything like that, that they felt that a lot of it had to do with them not producing content. And I was like, oh, I don't know. But the thing is, he wouldn't fall into the category we were talking about last night anyway, because he has well over 100,000 subscribers. We're talking about channels that have fewer than 1,000, or not 1,000, fewer than 100,000 subscribers, and the shenanigans going on there. So sorry to hear that they're kind of hanging things up, but as the video pointed out, they're looking more towards the publishing market because they've already published, I guess, 5 products, and that there'll still be like shorts on the channel. You know, honestly, I think YouTube shot itself in the foot a little bit and screwed over creators when they started doing this big focus on shorts because they wanted to compete with TikTok. And they were really pushing for creators to make shorts. So then he had all the, I never did, because I don't do TikTok, so I don't give a shit. Could you imagine me trying to say something in like 90 seconds? This win bag now would not happen. Anyway, so I'm like, YouTube was just, I mean, really, really pushing for creators to do shorts. And they were offering like increases in like the pay rate. And it was like, no, I don't think so. No. And then YouTube turned around and started screwing over the creators. So if outlets had started focusing on the shorts, they ended up really getting pretty much shit hammered over that. So they went right into the toilet. So I'm actually very, very glad I don't think I have a single short. In fact, I am 99.9% positive I didn't have a single short that I created. Let's see. So Tessie Trekkie says they've got a friend who's got 120,000 subscribers to his niche train channel. And if he doesn't constantly promote, his views are dropping to 5K a video. Yeah, I believe it. I do believe it. You know, sometimes I think having a bunch of subscribers misleads people into like for an example, myself, I know that a lot of subscribers came on board when I would do the D&D giveaways. When I would get the standard edition of a book and then I'd get the alternate cover and I'd just give away the alternate cover. But you had to be a subscriber in order to win. So I know that, I mean, I'm not talking like 5,000 subscribers, but I know that inflated the subscriber count from people who probably don't watch this channel more than the time they did to try to get into the running to win. So Jen Kakoza says, I stopped watching DM Layer because of all the crazy face thumbnails and clickbait titles. I'll be the first to point out I'm not familiar. You guys know. And for some strange reason, other people in the hobby, other content creators in the hobby think that I don't watch other content creators because I've got like some stick up my ass. Like I think I'm like, pissants. No, I don't have time. I don't have time to. The free time I've got gets invested into this kind of stuff. And then like reading so I can do reviews and stuff like that. I don't have time to watch other content creators in our hobby. Every once in a while, I'll get an opportunity and I'll sit down and be like, you know what? I'm going to watch some Seth Skurkowski for a while. Because I like Seth. I like his videos. I've met him too. He's a nice guy. But the other stuff, like, a lot of the, like, somebody was talking about dungeon tubers. Somebody had left a comment. I want to say it may have been on my post here on YouTube about after 13 plus years and so forth. And they had said, well, that they had noticed that the dungeon tubers seem to fall into these like levels where it's like they associate with people who have like the same area of subscribers, like subscriber counts, and how those people don't help promote anybody with fewer than so many subscribers and stuff like that. And I was like, did this person somehow misunderstand what I was talking about? Because I don't expect any other outlet to like be promoting me. I mean, like, no. I was like, I don't know if they thought I was talking about, because I said tabletop publishers need to step up. I don't know if they thought I was talking about like tabletop content creators need to step up and spread the word about each other. That wasn't it. That's not what I meant. I mean, yeah, like I said, I don't have anything against any of these people. Well, okay, there have been a few assholes over the years who have kind of like tried to stick their nose into our hang, right? But for the most part, I'm sure the vast majority of these people, because some of them I've said hello to and talked to for a few minutes, it's just I don't happen to watch their stuff. And part of it is also because a lot of the very popular content creators out there, they cover Dungeons and Dragons, and I don't watch Dungeons and Dragons videos. Why would I? My channel isn't built off of D&D. It's built off of the entire hobby, now with more of a focus on role-playing games, simply because I don't get an opportunity to get together with the gang to play as many board games as we once did. So Pete Stracklet says, yeah, I think DM Lair is using his latest farewell as clickbait for his new release. That could be a possibility, because it is titled one of these, this is the end or something like that, like we tend to see. Like I said, somebody had sent it to me and they said, hey, he's disagreeing with what you said last night. And I guess this was posted yesterday too. Not that I had anything to do with it. It's just kind of funny. It was, because he was kind of talking about the lack of views and stuff. But I know nothing about this. I know nothing about this outlet. I have heard people comment about DM Lair's content being very clickbaity in the past. Once again, I don't know. Can't tell you. But like I said, we usually get, and now I don't think he's a rage baiter. I just think he's maybe a clickbaiter. Like I said, I do not know the content. I'm only responding to somebody saying that he was disagreeing with what I said last night. I was like, I actually wasn't saying anything about really what I said last night. So, DB says, did DM Lair do a vid about a canceled Kickstarter that looked at all the numbers? If so, that was a good one. I liked it. JD Soul said, you should make a loop of looking at the camera and taking a sip of soda. Of all the different, when I take the sip and I'm like, oh yeah, that's delicious. And I just have this blank look on my face. Yeah, it's kind of a thing that I do. Kevin R. Smith says, right out of the god-awful Facebook playbook from back when they pressured creators to post videos and then stopped rewarding or started punishing video content. Yes. I also never bought into that either. I just like when I first started the live streams, I actually had, I was streaming on both Twitch. See, it's been so long, I forgot what the hell the platform was. And YouTube, and that lasted all of like 2 weeks. Especially after I found out that Twitch, your channel, it didn't save your videos. They were there for like 2 weeks and then they were gone. Unless probably like if you were a partner or something like that, maybe they would hang on to it. So Kevin R. Smith says that DM layer is mainly Dungeon Master advice. Yeah, I did know that. And yes, he does publish stuff too. Like I said, in the video he mentioned, I think he's got five releases already. So anyway, yeah, I'm not commenting about this individual deciding, hey, they're not going to do long form content anymore. All I'm saying is somebody reached out to me saying, this guy's disagreeing with you. And I'm like, hey, I watched the video. I don't see any disagreement. I don't see the discussion. So, anywho, that is what I wanted to mention before we move right along. So tonight, as I had pointed out earlier, I'm going to talk about 5 upcoming tabletop role-playing games which are supposed to release this summer that I am very intrigued by. I'm really looking forward to, and I certainly hope I have an opportunity to take a peek at. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
No need for you to use a magic carpet to get refreshment. Close by, you'll always find the friendly red sign and delicious, ice-cold Coca-Cola.
There's enough bread and a tasty giant loaf to make 15 sandwiches. Bologna! 15 bologna sandwiches coming up!
This was my father's world, Mr. Barnett. The shrieking of mutilated victims became the music of his life. The blood of 1,000 men and women was spilled within these walls. Limbs twisted and broken, flesh burned black.
Starring Vincent Price, truly a master of the macabre. John Carr in a challenging role. Barbara Steele, more blood-chilling than in Black Sunday. And introducing Taunting, Luana Anders.
Nicholas. Elizabeth. Is that you? Elizabeth? While we were up here mourning her, she was alive. Struggling to be free.
You are lying, sir. When Maria screamed, where were you? You lie!
I'm going to torture you, Isabella. I'm going to make you suffer for your faithlessness to me. You harlot!
All the violence of angry seas. The unseen forces of the unknown. The unforgettable memories of a long-forgotten childhood. All these you will feel in your very blood.
Do you know where you are, Bartholomew? You are about to enter hell.
That film isn't only in color, it's in Panavision. Wow. What a duo. I thought I would stay as topical as I possibly could, and I began the brief intermission with some footage of the ongoing negotiations between Iran and the United States. So hopefully you appreciate me trying to keep you up to date with what's going on, even while the show continues. So tonight, we're going to talk about some upcoming role-playing games, which are arriving on the scene this summer. Matthew Blackwell's with us in chat asking, what the F is Panavision? I think it was like larger format. I think that's what Panavision was. So instead of 35 millimeter, it'd be like 90, something along those lines. So Jen Kakoza says they're looking forward to the release of Legend in the Mist. Well, Legend in the Mist is out. It's just not physically out, as far as I understand. So the PDFs and that, they're all out. Sammy's already reviewed it. So our written review is over on thegaminggang.com. And if memory serves, I think she liked it quite a lot. So I am not sharing images and things like that because, for one, for some of these, we only have one or two like pieces of art, and some we don't. I think two of these have like maybe the cover art, and that's it. So I was like, Roger Perdome is joining us. It's been a while since we've seen Roger. Welcome aboard. So first role-playing game that I'm interested in checking out that's supposed to arrive on the scene this summer is the new edition of Cypher System. This time it's being called Cypher. And it is from Monte Cook Games. One of the reasons why I'm really interested in checking this out, and I'm pretty sure we'll have an opportunity to get a peek at this. For one, Monte Cook Games is sending the, The Darkest Woods for review that just came out. Might actually get the latest, the Magnus Archives and the Old Gods of Appalachia releases too, so we'll find out. And I like the Cypher System. I think that it's pretty cool as far as mechanically. Although I've said it time and time again, I said it when I interviewed Bruce and Shauna from Monte Cook Games. And I was like, I don't think people find the ciphers as intuitive as they could be. I think some game masters out there, including myself in certain ways, aren't real sure about the ciphers because they're kind of like one-shot, one-use things. And it's sort of like, okay, so if you're doing fantasy and your magic user knows a spell, wouldn't they be able to use that spell more often than just once? So it's like, I have been told that we are going to actually end up seeing the ciphers get kind of a little bit of a polish in the new edition, which is simply called Cipher, no longer called Cipher System. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I think it should be pretty cool. If I remember correctly, I think it's a slipcase set with 2 books. Might be wrong. So let's see. Let's see what some other folks out here in chat are saying. So sometimes in the winter is with us in chat asking, would one of those be Dungeon Crawler Carl tabletop role-playing game? I love those books. No clue if the tabletop role-playing game will be good, but I got my hopes up. No, one of those is not. And I will say, I'm just not a fan of the books. I tried to get through the first one. I just couldn't. I'm not a lit RPG fan because I come from the days of, the Michael Moorcock, the Ray Bradbury, the Fritz Leiber, the Alan Dean Foster, all, I just can't get into the lit RPG. And I know a lot of people out there love that genre. It's just, I will say that I did find the Dungeon Crawler Carl books to be some of the better lit RPG that I've seen. DB says they tried to type up a long explanation of what Panavision was and then ran out of characters. So I guess it's, there you go. 108 Jimbos is joining us. Said Panavision's like a 2.1 screen ratio versus the normal 1.66 to 1. Like, thought it was bigger. Thought it was a larger format. So let's see. Shadow Dark West Marches. It is not in my list because I'm not positive we're going to see it in the summer. I would hope so. I would think so. But I don't know. I would think that Kelsey is planning a Gen Con release for it. But you never know. My second role-playing game that has taken quite a while to hit the masses is Discworld from Modiphius Entertainment. I think that pretty much needs no introduction for most people out there. It did extremely well for Modiphius as far as a crowdfunding project, and it has taken forever, or as I like to say, forever to come out. In fact, there were people who were starting to wonder, is this going to come out? But I mean, it is Modiphius Entertainment. You don't expect them to like get up and take off with people's crowdfunding money. I don't know if it's going to be any good. I have no idea. If I remember correctly, and somebody out there who knows far, far more about this than I do has to let me know. Didn't Steve Jackson Games do a Discworld GURPS book? For some strange reason, I seem to think they did. One of the reasons I'm really curious about the Discworld role-playing game is that Discworld has had some board games released in the past, and they've been real hit or miss. I got to be honest, I have never heard anyone tell me that one of the Discworld board games that came out was excellent, was like a must play. I know the was it Mayfair Games? I think it was Mayfair Games did a Discworld. What is the city? What is it like? I'm in Morkpork, or it's like the city is one name and the river is another name. I'm sorry, I am not completely well vested in Discworld. Sorry. I know. What can I tell you? I'm a heathen. Don't like Dungeon Crawler Carl. Don't really get around to check it out. I think it's the first 3 books, and I think that's the problem. Because everybody says, oh, you got to, it's like the 5th or 6th book that Pratchett really picks up, and then from there on out, it's like, all right, it's Discworld. And I know I've had people tell me, well, don't read them in chronological order. You can start with The Witches, or you can start with this. And I'm kind of like, shouldn't you read them in the order they were published? I don't know. So I think that's why I've kind of lost steam. I'll get into one of the books and I'll be like, okay, all right, this time I'm going to do it. Then I'll get about halfway through it. I'm like, yeah, what can I tell you? All right. Hey, Stephen from Roll for Combat is with us asking if Deathbringer is one of the 5. What is that? I know what it is, but no, it is not one of my 5. Sorry, Stephen. It's just not. I don't know enough about it. All I got is a pin. I got a pin, and I got this short guy hyping it up nonstop every time I run into him at conventions. That's all I know. Tessie Trekkie says they were looking forward to the 2nd edition of Laundry, and they got it yesterday. Sweet. I'll have to reach out to my pals over at Cubicle 7 Games. I always want to go entertainment, but no, it's games. They prefer, even though their copyright says Cubicle 7 Entertainment. So yes, that was supposed to be hitting print. So I will touch base. I should point out, don't be surprised if you see a ladybug or 2 go flying past. It's chilly down here too. That's why I'm wearing this. My gosh, I actually have one sitting right here on the table. Just landed. Anyway. So Little Britain's with us once again. Welcome. Pete Strackledge says, Deathbringer, I'm backing it. Cooperative Waffles says we need an Appendix N for Jeff on the Gaming Hand website. What the hell's the Gaming Hand website? Cooperative Waffles rolls out weird stuff. There's a comment Cooperative Waffles made on one of the videos or something about time disappearing or whatever. It's like, what? And weirdly enough, the comment came across as being negative. So I'm like, really? Okay. So Roll for Combat says you won't see it. You might see it by Gen Con, but only PDF. See? So right there, it wouldn't be, a role-playing game that's coming out physically this summer, or at least supposedly coming this summer. So it wouldn't be on the list anyway. Cooperative Waffles points out that Trollord Games had a backer kit for the second portion of Castle Zagyig that launched yesterday. Yeah, I'm back into this. I hear nothing from the gang over at Trollord Games. We're back to radio silence again. I have no idea. No idea. I hear nothing from there. I hear nothing. I hear nothing from them. Not there. But I don't know. So I reached out to Chuck again. I was like, what's going on, man? And we talked at Page in January and we're like, okay, we're going to iron, going to make sure that I get the news pieces and stuff. No. I don't know. Peaceful Porcupines with us in chat says lit RPG progression fantasy is opposite of the female power fantasy, which is about coalition building. Dusty Trekkie says Discworld novels are functionally 4 to 5 distinct fantasy series that all share a world and sometimes briefly overlap. That I did know. Dennywan is joining us. So, I can see Dolmenwood behind. That's a really good setting. Yes, it got a really good review score, too. The setting book got a 10 out of 10. You don't have too many of those. All right. Next up, and this I was back and forth with a little bit. So the 4th edition of Mutants and Masterminds from Green Ronin Publishing is supposed to be out this summer. I'm curious about it. I was up in the air between this and the Invincible role-playing game from Free League Publishing. And I was like, okay, I'm sure Free League Publishing is going to do fine with Invincible. I just don't know how much support Invincible is going to have. I've said it before. I think that Free League Publishing is getting to the point where maybe they're biting off a little more than they can handle. Because we have seen some releases come out that just don't have that usual Free League Publishing polish. I'm not saying that they're bad. That is not what I'm trying to say. But where it would have been like some stuff that would come out that would have got maybe a 9 out of 10. Now they're kind of like 8 out of 10. So I don't know. Anyway, but Mutants and Masterminds 4th edition. I'm kind of curious about Mutants and Masterminds. I've never delved into it. So I don't know if this is going to be going for like more crunch or less crunch. Because in my opinion, I think Champions, for some people, if you're a GURPS fan, then I think Champions is probably a pretty good fit. I think Hero Games is probably a pretty good fit for you. But if you don't want that level of simulation, like I said, I'm not familiar with Mutants and Masterminds. I got to be honest, even back in the day, I don't think I ever had an opportunity to take a look at the 1st edition. I know I've checked out, I had Villains and Vigilantes, had the 1st edition of Champions. I don't recall having Mutants and Masterminds because I think that came out later. That didn't come out in the 80s. I think Mutants and Masterminds is like a late 90s role-playing game. I could be absolutely wrong, but but I do think that's about the time frame. But I also think that people deserve a really good superhero role-playing game, and we just don't have it yet. I don't think we've got the definitive superhero role-playing game yet. Not that we've got the definitive, role-play game of any genre. But I do kind of feel that, like the Marvel superheroes, the newest one, the multiverse, is pretty good if you want to play as a Marvel superhero, someone who's already established. So if it's like, oh yeah, well, I want to play as Captain America. Sweet. Very nice. Here you go. If you want to play your own character that you create, not so much. Kevin R. Smith says, yes, Mutants and Masterminds is a 2000s RPG. It was a supers hack of a D20 system. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Danny One says, for them, it sounds like Cthulhu D20, a recipe for disaster. Oh, are you guys talking about Traveler now? The Traveler 5e? Is that what Denny One was commenting about? Sue, anybody notice that I've not shared news about it? I don't want to dissuade anybody from checking out the Traveler for 5e. I don't. I mean, because I don't know anything about, well, I know a little bit about it, but I know about it as much about it as you folks watching. Okay. So it's not like I've got some inside dope on it, but it's not from Mongoose. I know there's a video out there and they've got, like Mark Miller talking about Traveler. They've got one of the leads from Mongoose. I forget which one, talking about it, about Traveler, not Traveler 4-5e. They're talking about Traveler. And I've seen some of the artwork. I don't like the art. The artwork looks way too digitized. I mean, it doesn't look like it's AI, but it does look very digital. Not to the point where like it looks like some of the worst of the like 2010s. You know what I'm talking about, where it's, you could buy the software that, is like, oh, almost like 3D comic software. And it looked, oh my, the models look awful. It's not that bad, but it ain't good. So I'm like, I don't know. So I have refrained from sharing news about it. Like I said, I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from checking it out. But JD Sewell said they cut a few ads for Traveler 5. I thought it was already out. Okay, so Traveler can confuse people. I know we're going off topic, but that's kind of par for the course around here, right? Okay, so Traveler 5 is Mark Miller. Mark Miller is one of the original creators of Traveler. In fact, the main creative for Traveler. And I've never seen it. I've never taken a peek at it, but I have always heard that it's more of a toolbox than an actual game, and that it was kind of a mess if you tried to run it as a game. Then, of course, we had Mongoose Publishing, their Traveler, which it wasn't all that long ago that they rolled out a second edition of it. I like the Traveler from Mongoose. It's got a modern feel, but it also feels like Traveler. So you've got that. And then, of course, you've also got the Cepheus engine, which is built off, as far as I understand, because I've not actually taken a look at it, but it's built off of the Little Black Books, I thought. So Traveler with 5e mechanics, to me, just it wouldn't feel like Traveler. Traveler's 2d6, baby. That's how we do it. Little Britain says, I have Mark Miller's Traveler 5. It is unplayable raw, but an interesting resource. See, that's what I've always heard about it. Hey, it's Maddie P. is with us in chat. James Core is also, or it might be James Corp, is also with us. So they also like DC Heroes from Mayfair. That was very solid. I'll tell you what, they did a lot for it too. I remember I received the Batman, the role-playing game, which essentially was the DC Heroes, but only Batman in its own book, at a Diamond distributor get together for comic book store owners that Ellie and I finagled our way into going to. And we got all this swag, and that was one of the items of swag. But yeah, I liked the DC Heroes. I mean, I thought it was pretty cool. They did the Watchmen. Then I think they even did a couple of adventures for the Watchmen. So yeah, it was a very, very well supported role-playing game. Just like the later TSR Marvel, I didn't realize had so many releases. I remember taking a peek one day. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, holy cow. Look at all the stuff that came out for Marvel superheroes. I was like, pretty sweet. All right, so let's get back to the 5 that I am very interested in checking out. And somebody has mentioned this already, and it is Twilight Sword. Or no, is it? Yeah, it is Twilight Sword. I was going to say, is it Sword World? No, that's something else. So no, sorry, somebody did not mention this. But Twilight Sword from Free League Publishing and Two Little Mice. And the reality is, I don't really have that much interest in the genre that the game is set in. Kind of like Japanese fantasy role-playing, computer role-playing games is kind of the angle that it's taking. But because it's from Two Little Mice, I am interested in checking that out. And of course, you throw Free League Publishing in, and I would take a guess. Once again, this is just a gut feeling I have. I don't have deep access to Free League Publishing. I know about things that are cooking behind the scenes, but I don't know the reasoning behind things a lot. But I had just talked about how I thought Free League Publishing was kind of getting to the point where they're biting off a little more than they might be able to handle. I don't think that's an issue here, because really all they're doing with these Two Little Mice releases is doing English localization. So with Outgunned, it's already done. The books are already finished. They're in Italian. All Free League Publishing does is translate that over to English and localized American / UK English for the most part. So it's not like they're having to do design work and art and all the other stuff. It's all taken care of. That's also the case with Household, or I guess I should say Adventures in the Household, because they haven't done Household yet, which I would like to see. But that is another one that I'm very interested in checking out. James C. says they backed Twilight Sword. Nice. They also said the game they're most excited about is the 3rd edition of 7th Sea. Very nice. Sweet. I don't think it's out this summer, is it? It'd be cool if it was. Yeah, every once in a while we get stuff early too. Some of these companies will say, oh yeah, well, summer of 2027. And then winter rolls around. And it's like, oh, wow, it's out. So they aim to try to, over deliver, and of course they take into account that things might happen. James says they don't know. They don't know if that's supposed to be out this summer. I don't think it is, because it was a pretty recent, that crowdfunding project probably just wrapped up in the last month or so, because I know I shared news about it. Sometimes in the winter says I'm still making monthly payments for Twilight Sword. Looks great. Memento Mori should be arriving much sooner, though. Kevin R. Smith says off the top of their head, they think third edition 7th Sea is going to arrive next year. All right. Final of the 5 role-playing games that I'm really curious about that are supposed to land this summer. The 5th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay from my friends over at Cubicle 7 Games. You know I am a sucker for Wifrip. I like the setting. I especially like when stuff is set in the Empire. I talked about this with the review I did for Sea Wardens of Kothik. That I think Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay loses a little something that makes it, well, maybe not special, but different from other fantasy role-playing games when it leaves the Empire. So when it's like, they're doing dwarven kingdoms and elven kingdoms and things like that, it feels a little more like other fantasy role-playing games. Whereas when we focus on the Empire, like Ubersreich, Middenheim, the whole kind of satirical bend to things. There's like a horror vibe going on under the surface, right? Because that's originally what Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay was. It was supposed to be a fantasy horror game. So you got a little bit of that going on. You got a little bit of the satire, a little bit of dark humor. The nobility, the vast majority of nobles tend to be idiots. I like that. I dig that. I have said time and time again that the starter set for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay has one of the best introductory adventures that I have seen in a starter set. I love how it throws the player characters together in a way that makes sense. It's not just, oh, well, you're an adventuring group who find themselves sitting in a tavern. It's like, Danny one asks, what about Castle White Rock? Isn't it White Rock on Backer Kit? I have a news piece for it tomorrow. I didn't want to overwhelm everybody with crowdfunding news pieces today. So, because we already tackled 2, I didn't want to make it 3. So I will share news about that on tomorrow's show. That's not something that's going to be out this summer, though. Ravenclaw is joining us. Good to see you once again. So they have 3 Kickstarters coming later this year. Where's Blade? Fabula, Ultima Bestiary, and Sword World. Cool. Very nice. I still have OVA, which is over a year delayed now. Probably still about a year away from getting it. Sometimes in the winter says 7th Sea still has 41 hours to go. So it hasn't even ended yet. Projected delivery is June 2027. I did review the 2nd edition core book. I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. Pretty nice. Reading Aid is also with us tonight as well. Anybody else want to toss something out here that they're interested in? Yeah, sorry. I keep like moving around here. And it is because I got hemorrhoids now. It's because this chair's falling apart. The gaming chair. I know I moved away from the mic. The gaming chair that I have, I've had it for a few years now. It is kind of falling apart. So I have a towel sitting on, the seat so that it doesn't continue to like fray apart and stuff. Well, it will, but at least it's not fraying apart on me. And kind of gets bunched up. So I'm trying to like straighten it out. I'm trying to straighten out my underwear, man. So Semper Buffo says new 7th Sea mechanics make it close to the first edition of the game. Reading Aid says the thing that worries me about the 7th Sea 3E is there's still playtesting rules. Yeah, that always throws me a little bit when you see that. Now, I don't expect a company to be completely finished with a game when they take it to crowdfunding, but it's always a good indicator of how close they are to completion when they tell you when the expected fulfillment is. So if that fulfillment is more than a year out, to me, two things are probably going on. One of two, maybe both. One is that they're maybe trying to allow for unseen circumstances causing delays. So if they deliver early, people will be all excited, being like, oh, wow. And they're probably not, they're not finished. A lot of times we'll see Kickstarters, backer kits, game found projects come out, and there are like 3 or 4 pieces of artwork that are displayed in the project along with the cover of the book. And that's all the art they've got. So there are many times where they'll look to crowdfund mostly to pay for art. Sometimes in the winter, any info about Historica Arcanum? 5e is not my thing, but I like the dark folk horror team, so they backed Salem? Here's the weird thing. Isn't the company that does Historica Arcanum, aren't they like out of Turkey or something? Because I could have swore that was the role-playing game that the company wanted me to review, and they were going to send the books, and nothing. Didn't hear anything. I was like, oh, okay. All right. Because they did a bundle of holding. Maybe they did 2 bundles of holding. And the company appreciated the fact that I had shared the news or whatever. They're like, yeah, we see you got a lot of reviews. Would you be interested in reviewing this? And I told them, well, I don't review PDFs. I'd be happy to review the physical book, shoot video. And they were like, oh, yeah, that'd be great. And that was it. Never heard. They're not the only company that's happened with, but yeah, it's okay. It's not like I don't have stuff to review. Oh, what am I going to do now? Oh, jeez. Tesco Love asks, is John Wick involved in the new 7th Sea? Yeah, I don't actually. James C says, no, he's not. I was going to say, I didn't think he was. Which is weird, right? I mean, it's his game. Yes, it is Studio Agate in France. They did that horror game, that fantasy horror game. God, off the top of my head, I don't remember the name of it. I actually interviewed some folks from that company. Elliot and I did at one of the first Gen Cons we covered as the Gaming Gang. Omanal is joining us. Been a while since we've seen Omanal. So they just got their Blade Runner yesterday. Nice. So that means I should be seeing that. Hey, I also have to point out once again, I now have 2 copies of the Pirate Borg starter set. I have 2 copies of the Coriolis, the Great Dark Flowers of Agarab. And I'm like, because as I pointed out, Free League Publishing uses an outside company for their promotion. So they send out emails and say, okay, if you'd like a review copy of this, fill out this form. And then you go and you fill out the form. And then I don't know if it's Free League Publishing just saying, okay, yeah, hey, send Jeff the stuff. But there was something that I thought, well, you know what? I won't fill out the form because I know Free League Publishing just sends me a copy anyway. And then they didn't. So I was like, I guess I better fill it out. So yes, I got the dice, which I did not have. Well, I had it from the box set. And yeah, this just showed up. And I'm like, another? Like, okay. So Reading Aid says, here's a board game question. Which is better, Cthulhu May Die or Cthulhu Wars? I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know. I have never heard anything good about Cthulhu Wars, though, outside of the miniatures are cool. It's all I ever heard. So I don't know. And it's not something that got like a lot of support. So that would also lead me to think, maybe not so great. So, yes. So, Semper Buffo says, on that note, Free League is just starting to deliver on this Kickstarter from 2 years ago for Blade Runner. It's 2 years late. Yes. So, Tuscan Explorer is with us in chat. I believe it's a first-time visit. Welcome aboard. Shazama85 says, just got an email from Goodman Games for Terror of the Underdeep box set for 5e, now available on their store. Pliskin's with us, said they were thinking of picking up Thunder Road Vendetta. I have heard good things about that. I have played, what the hell is it? Do I have, no, I think maybe it's sitting out in the SUV. Trying to remember the name of it. It's a racing game from Rebellion Unplugged. The just a core game, and it's kind of, it's not really necessarily Mad Max-ish, but it's kind of Car Wars-ish, but you don't have like weapons built into your vehicle. But I played that with my nephew Cameron. We had a blast with it. It was pretty cool. What is it? Jump something? I'm telling you, folks, there are so many games. And a lot of times they're rattling around in my head. As far as like Goodman Game stuff, I tend to steer more towards the Dungeon Crawl Classics releases as opposed to 5e. Yes, I will share, like 5th edition fantasy releases and stuff like that as news pieces. But for the most part, I kind of stick to the Dungeon Crawl Classics because I like Dungeon Crawl Classics. I think Dungeon Crawl Classics deserves the exposure. Just more third-party 5e stuff. All righty. So, that is it for this time out. Reading Aid says they're thinking about unloading their Dark Tower slipcase. Really? Yeah. All righty. Little Britain says they're a huge Dungeon Crawl Classics fan themselves. Nice. Yeah, like I said, I dig it. I've got some DCC. Well, no, I take that back. I have some Goodman Games reviews on the horizon, including, yes, Caverns of Thracia, but it's 4-5e. Pete Strakowitz says they're getting ready to run Caverns of Thracia for Dungeon Crawl Classics. After I finish up A Time to Harvest, I am looking at trying to get the gang into playing a fantasy game. I might just go with Shadow Dark, but convert something over to Shadow Dark, and it would probably be Caverns of Thracia. Either that or maybe Purple Planet. So, which I just told you, there are your reviews that are coming. All right, that is it for this time out. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, you get a tip of the cap, because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company while I'm sharing the news or pontificating about a topic. Of course, I know a lot of folks out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. They don't get a chance to take part in chat. So thank you very much to those of you out there who are watching on Memorex. It is much appreciated, most certainly. And of course, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. If I can get the bell to ring. And if you do ring the bell, be sure you select all notifications, because that way, maybe, just maybe, you'll be notified not only when the stream kicks off at 7 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube. It may also inform you when I share videos, such as reviews, such as my review of Cabin Fever for Pirate Borg from Limithron. So if you subscribe and ring that bell, you should be notified about those. Fingers crossed. Enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you kindly for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. And as always, I certainly hope each and every one of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.